What is up, FSU Nation, Florida State Seminole fans? It's 7:30 on Wednesday. It's a little past our time, but you know what that means. We are talking Florida State football here on YouTube, here on Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. But Mark Rogers is not here. I'm Jason Parker from ShopChat.com, filling in for Mark today. Hopefully, we'll have Logan Robinson from Noel Game Day coming in momentarily. It's the worst sports day of the year. This is the day where none of the professional sports teams play. So us FSU fans are like every other sports fan. We're like, what the heck is going on in the world? So we're going to talk a little FSU football right now. One thing we wanted to talk about, and we had mentioned with some of the guys earlier, is the recent ESPN. They ranked their FPI, Football Power Index, entering the 2019 season. FSU is surprising for many fans because they are not ranked in many preseason predictions of top 25 polls to start the season for many people. But ESPN actually has FSU ranked number 21 in their FPI for this year. It's a little bit surprising to some people. It's also a little bit surprising that they have FSU predicted to win 10 games. They have FSU predicted as the favorite to win every single game, starting off with Boise State, except for losing to Clemson, and right now being the underdog in the season finale against Florida. Now, I, as a FSU grad, diehard FSU fan, would love nothing more than for head coach Willie Taggart to win 10 games in his second season in Tallahassee. And we've written about this before on Shop Chat, and we will also write about it more this week. Is it a little too much? Is it a little too much to think that a team that can go from 5-7 last year, and we can be honest about it, looked bad in many of those losses, were blown out in many of the cases to teams like Clemson, teams like Florida, teams like Notre Dame, and even a blowout loss to NC State, the opener against Virginia Tech. Can they bounce back? I think that it is a little too early to sit there and say that Florida State this season, Taggart's second season, can be a 10-win team. Do they have that potential? Absolutely, they have that potential. Can it take place? I think that we need to see how the season starts. If Florida State starts off 5-0 going into that Clemson game, the sky's the limit at that point, because arguably the two toughest games on the schedule this season for the Seminoles are Clemson and Florida. Right now, those are games that, on paper, Florida State should be the underdog in. ESPN got those right. I just worry that we, as a fan base, and some who do think we should win 10 games, and I think we all want us to win 10 games, and we would all do many things for us to win 10 games this season in Tallahassee. I think we need to pump the brakes a little bit, because we had this last year. I know I am very much guilty of saying that Florida State would be a 10-2 team last year. I had them go into the Peach Bowl, making the New Year's Six bowl game as an ACC representative. Could it happen? Yes. Could there be a 2016 all over again where the team starts off slowly, has a solid end of the season, and ends up making it to one of the top 6 bowl games in this year? That case would be a trip back down to South Florida to play in that Orange Bowl game against either a team from the SEC, the Big Ten, or Notre Dame. Might be interesting to see a little Florida State Notre Dame action this year again. Now that Florida State might actually play like a real team, unlike they did towards the end of last year. And that's not being critical. That's a true fact. Florida State did not play. It did not look like they actually cared towards the end of last season. We can just be honest about it. But that's then, this is now. But can they do a 10-win season this year? Can they? Yes. Will they? I'm more inclined to say 8 wins, 9 wins. Would I take a 10-win season? Absolutely, in a heartbeat. We can go over that schedule, and we will hear on Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, as the weeks go on. Obviously, we are about 6 weeks away from the start of the college football season. Big game obviously involves Florida State's two hated, I believe would be the easiest way to say it, the hated rivals, Miami and Florida, in Orlando on August 24th. The game moved up 1 week by ESPN to start off the 150th season of college football. What do you think, FSU football fans? Are you going to side with the Gators on this one? Or are you going to side with the Hurricanes? I mean, or would you side with a sinkhole to swallow up Camping World Stadium? I mean, any of those options. What do you have? Personally, I am more inclined to root for Miami, not just being from South Florida, but also the fact that I would like to see Florida get knocked off a lot quicker. I would like to see a redo of 2013 part two all over again, where Miami upset a Florida team that came down to what is now Hard Rock Stadium, should have won that game, and Florida got upset by Miami. Miami came in high and mighty on November 2nd, undefeated, to Tallahassee that year and lost by 27 points to Florida State. So that would be great to see happen again. Um, I think right now on paper, there's no reason why Florida shouldn't be the favorite in that game. But I also think that Miami is a weird Miami team. They're a team that plays well to start off the season, and then once they lose that first game of late, then they start to go on that downhill slalom. So what do you think, FSU football fans? Or do you think Florida is going to win this one? Do you think Miami is going to pull off the upset? Are you hoping that there's some way for both teams to lose? What are you guys hoping this coming season? Make sure to let your opinions be known. As to what's going on, it is the dog days of summer. By the way, if you are in Tallahassee, FSU announced today that the fan day for the football team will actually be on August 18th at 1 p.m. at the Tucker Center. So make sure you want to go out there, get items autographed by head coach Willie Taggart, quarterback James Blackman, and a team that could surprise people this year. You will want to make it out there for the annual Fan Day event. It's always fun. It was always great to cover when I worked in Tallahassee. It will be interesting to see what Taggart allows this year as far as availability with both players and with coaches. This is going to be a season where there are going to be a lot of people in Tallahassee, a lot of people covering the FSU football program who are going to be wanting to know more. Last season, Taggart was an open book. You could tell. I think that you will see a lot of the same. I think you will see a little bit. I feel like the 2018 season was a growing up process, and I think we were all, and I say we as in members of the media covering the team, not everyone, but I think a decent amount of people, we bit into the cake. We drank the Kool-Aid of hyping up what turned out to be a disappointing season. But I think will also be a rebuilding season. And we'll talk more about predictions as the year goes on. But I think that is the one thing that we as fans and we as the media covering the team need to just take a step back and realize this team, maybe an 8-win season. If this team goes 9-3, close competitive games, close competitive losses, I think there's a lot of people in Tallahassee who would take that after what took place last season. So we're going to cut this a little bit short this week. It's an abbreviated version of your Florida State football. I am Jason Parker from ShopChat.com. Check us out. We have your best source for news and insight into Florida State football, Florida State basketball, and Florida State baseball as the summer months go on, as we get closer to August 31st in Jacksonville as the Florida State Seminoles prepare to take on the Boise State Broncos. And will the season end in the college football playoff? Who knows? Will the season end in the Orange Bowl? Who knows? Will the season just end up in a bowl game? I think that's what most FSU fans want. So next week, we will be back with a complete staff here on Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Once again, I'm Jason Parker from ShopChat.com, wishing you a great week.